What if I tell you happiness is not what you need? Because happiness doesn't have to do with needs. It has to do with desires. Desires are all about self-realization. Needs instead are about satisfaction. In fact, you satisfy a need while you realize a desire. Needs are sterile, desires instead are fertile. From a desire, you can create the life you want to live. You can create who you want to be. You can even create the universe you can call your own. Probably some of you have heard about Maslow's pyramid or Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a formulation which has to do with multiple fields of application, such as psychology, sociology, anthropology, communication, commerce. This theory offers a representation of the needs of every human being. It's what men need to fulfill themselves and allow the functioning of the community. The original pyramid included 5 phases of progressive self-realization. Today, 8 phases have been identified to reflect the complexity which characterizes the modern, the contemporary world in the so-called first world areas. 4 levels are about the satisfaction of needs. This is what is able to guarantee survival. If these needs aren't satisfied, life itself is not livable. It's not sustainable, maintainable. According to the definition provided by Maslow, in order to survive, you need safety and security. These levels represent basic human dignity. These are the fundamental rights for humans. The transition from a first level of sustenance, a first level of maintenance, to a second level of safety and security is what historically marked the transition from the bare struggle to survive, the fight of all against all, to the formation of an actual community to provide effectively and efficiently for the needs of all through the collaboration of all. The next 4 levels instead represent a desire for growth. Growth is what allows humans to move above and beyond survival, to live a life of self-realization, self-fulfillment. Therefore, from a material dimension, there is a shift towards an immaterial dimension. Being able to go above and beyond survival to approach growth is what marks the transition from the formation of a society to the development of a culture. I thought about the Maslow's pyramid when I graduated from college, and I absorbed the backlash caused by years and years of non-stop working and studying, performing to maintain certain standards. Suddenly, I had to face mental health struggles. I was forced to let go, and I was overwhelmed by everything that for years I had kept aside. I had put aside using work and study as a distraction. I had to completely free my schedule. I often needed hours to just wash myself, to dress myself, to get ready. Every appointment caused me stress, a sense of pressure. For a month straight, I slept around 12 hours per night to recover from probably a couple of years of sleep debt. The discouragement caused by being aware of what I was going through also made me feel useless and worthless. This is how I understood that healing is not a line from bottom to top. In fact, healing is a spiral, an ascending spiral. And every time periodically we face the same challenges, but we do so in order to access a greater level of awareness and to allow growth. By the way, my favorite podcast is on this exact same topic. So if you're interested, check it out. In each of these seasons of transition, I try to live my life as if I am witnessing the journey, the path through which I overcome the challenges that I'm going through, as if the challenges already passed and I am documenting the process and the progress. This is what made me realize how it's possible to feel happy even while going through a challenging period, maybe mentally and physically. Maybe you are unwell, but this doesn't mean that you have to be unhappy. You can be unwell, but you can still be happy. Maybe you need to satisfy certain needs, but you can still realize your desires. As I mentioned, it was in that period that I thought about Maslow's pyramid. I asked myself what I needed, and I tried to answer by acting on what I wanted, listening to my desires moment by moment, realizing my desires moment by moment. I realized how perhaps because of my own predisposition, I lived a large part of my life moving in a sphere that has a lot to do with knowledge, with aesthetics, even with transcendence, spirituality. However, oftentimes this was some sort of an escape from a reality that wasn't always simple to face. Perhaps it was even an escape from myself and from my own human condition. As I mentioned, that period was an invitation to listen to myself, listen to my needs, to ensure my well-being day by day without escaping it. It was about committing to it, to sleep every day and every night. In fact, for so long, I realized I functioned in a state of negligence. I would never miss an appointment or a commitment, but I would fail to take care of myself. In fact, personally, I oftentimes experienced a sense of anxiety and a sense of depression, but I never showed the signs and the signals, and this always confused me. Today, I know that this is what professionals call functional anxiety or functional depression. What I'm saying is that that period gave me the space and the time to deal with what I always put aside. I gave myself the space and the time to face a phase of contraction, which has a lot to do with the satisfaction of needs. It has to do with the search for security, safety. Of course, I always avoided this contraction because it is unpleasant, it is uncomfortable. I put it aside with the excuse of the expansion, the search of growth through transcendence, through spirituality. However, this is how we live life. In fact, this is how the human heart beats, through contractions and expansions. In fact, if suffering is contraction, healing is expansion. This is why I created this PDF you can access for free through the link in my description. It is an actual workbook which works as a guide for you to get what you need through the realization of what you desire. It explains the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's pyramid, in details, but also it guides you through some self-reflection with questions to answer and some evaluations you can do. So make sure to check it out. I also have an entire playlist, which is a YouTube series, a two-part YouTube series, all about manifestation and how you can create the life you want to live through narration, through the story you tell. Also, this is a guide for you to realize an actual board you can use as a compass for manifestation. So if you're interested, make sure to check it out.